The following program is a presentation from thezibbyshow.com. Welcome to Nigeria Untold with Zibby, a show about the Nigeria you never hear about, the beauty, inspiration, strength, and overall greatness of Nigeria. Telling the Nigerian story, now here's your host, Zibby.
Hi, I'm Zibby, and this is Nigeria Untold, a brand new podcast coming to you from thezibbyshow.com. I've started this podcast because I realized that over the past maybe 10, 15 years, we've not had a very good time on the stage of the world media. And by we, I'm referring to Nigerians and Nigeria, basically. There seems to have been a lot of bad, really bad press regarding Nigeria. And I think it's time to actually change that perception. Now, Nigeria is a massive country made up of about 180 million people. 180 people with different ways of life, different cultures. You know, it's such a beautiful mix, really. However, it does seem like, I'm going to quote something from Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. It said, one finger brings oil, it soils the others. And I guess you kind of understand what I mean. Well, anyways, I'm going to do my bit to change the opinion that the world has about Nigeria. A lot of times I'm out and people say to me, "Where are you from?" And then when I say Nigeria, they're like, "Really? You don't look Nigerian. You don't sound Nigerian. You don't act Nigerian." And I always ask the question, how is a Nigerian supposed to look? How is a Nigerian supposed to act? How is a Nigerian supposed to sound? I'm one person and there are 180 plus million people out there who are Nigerians. How can I as one person be the basis of what you think Nigerians should look, act, sound, or be? Okay, so it seems like with that stereotype, a lot of people have decided to put Nigerians in a box that clearly doesn't define us. And I'm going to change that one way or another. And I'm doing that through the podcast. Some time ago, Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, was in Nigeria for a few days. And a lot of Nigerians are not too happy about the way the world media was reporting his time in Nigeria. Now, some of the major news networks, I'm not going to call any out, you know those networks, had said that Mark Zuckerberg had made his first ever trip to sub-Saharan Africa. Now, some Nigerians were not too happy about being labeled as sub-Saharan Africa. Technically, Nigeria is sub-Saharan Africa, but their argument was they wanted the name Nigeria reflected by the media. They said sometimes the media was quick to just point out the things that were not so good with Nigeria, ignoring the good. And I said, after seeing all the tweets and, hearing comments, reading comments from people, it got me thinking, why do we need someone else to tell our story? No one can tell your story the way you can, because if someone is going to tell your story, chances are they wouldn't say it the way you would. They wouldn't have as much passion. And half the time, they probably don't really give a damn. Yeah, excuse me. So I decided I was going to tell the Nigerian story and tell it from a Nigerian perspective. Now, yes, we've got a lot of ups and downs going on, but there is still so much that should be reported. And this show, Nigeria Untold, is going to bring you all the information about the Nigeria you never see on TV, the Nigeria you never hear about, or the Nigeria you never read about. The Nigeria that's made up of you and I, our Nigeria. And this is what the Zibby Show is trying to do with this podcast. It's beautiful that it's going to be launched today. Can I start off by saying a happy Independence Day to my country, Nigeria, and all Nigerians, friends of Nigeria from all over the world. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. We definitely did not need to be colonized. We didn't need anyone to, lead us, because we've been doing that for ages before the first invaders actually set shores on beautiful West African soil. However, it's good to know that we've been self-ruling for 56 years. I mean, we've ruled for way longer, and I mean way, way longer, maybe just in a different form of government and leadership. However, it's still a day of celebration. I can bet there will be a lot of activity in the cities across Nigeria and in communities where you have Nigerians, even outside Nigeria. There will be parties, there'll be soirees, there'll be, a lot of fun for the families, so it's definitely good. My niece went to school yesterday dressed in a traditional Nigerian attire from River State. I'm from River State, so it was really, really beautiful to see. Yes, indeed. Okay, happy Independence Day, Nigeria. And something that got me emotional was a few days ago. My niece, who's not even 5 years old yet, was singing a song from, I think it was Fumi Martins, the Nigeria, our beloved country. Yeah, that song is such a beautiful song. And I was stunned when I heard her sing. I'm like, how'd you know that song? And she told me that one of her teachers, her drama teacher in school, was teaching them that song. She didn't know all the words, but it was so good. I didn't know all the words either, but I was so happy. And we managed to sing a bit along for the parts we knew. So I'm very happy about that. Absolutely hopeful for so many good things to come for Nigeria. Now, Nigerians have always been ranked as achievers in any field all over the world, in Nigeria, outside Nigeria. It doesn't matter if it's medicine or media or arts or sports. Nigerians have always excelled at everything they have set their hearts to. Now, the reason for this is some inner resilience and greatness that resides in every Nigerian. And of course, everyone has the ability to do some good. And Nigerians from all over the world, from Nigeria, are doing amazing, amazing things. Just a few years ago, we heard about Dr. Ben Omalu, and he actually has a movie about his story in which Will Smith plays his character. And then in the field of media, you've got Nigerians like young Zuriel Oduole, Victor Oladokun, Nigerians who are doing amazing stuff. Now, I'm just going to call out a few, because there's so many. I'm trying to grab the names out of my head, and hopefully Zibby's name will be added to the list of Nigerians doing amazing things at some point in media and in management. You've got in music, we've got a lot of acclaimed stars. You've got Sunny Ade, Sonny Okosun, you've got Two-Face Idibia, Dr. Alban. These are Nigerians who are doing so many things all over the world. In the field of sports, you've got the legends, Rashidi Yakini. No one would ever forget Rashidi Yakini. You've got Nigerians like JJ Okocha, who was so good they named him twice, of course. And in the field of literature, you've got Elechi Amadi, the captain, who I'm going to speak about today, Chinua Achebe, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and one of my new writers, he's a young writer, Chimeka Garrix, who wrote an absolutely phenomenal book. So at some point, I'm going to speak to Chimeka briefly on the Zibby Show podcast. But for now, it's basically an introduction of my country, Nigeria. Now, when people think about Nigeria, people always sort of expect us to be, really dark, have some certain futures. But the beautiful thing about Nigeria is its diversity. I know people who are, like me. And then I know others who look nothing like me but are Nigerians, speak different languages, but we're all Nigerian. There is a lot of diversity in Nigeria, and it just makes us that multicultural society that we are. I mean, I know when I was a child, I grew up with a Dutch kid called Melanie. Now, Melanie was Dutch, but she was born in Nigeria, lived in Warri her life. So when they came over to Oman, she was actually in the English stream of the school. Okay, because she was basically Nigerian at heart. She had lived in Nigeria. She spoke English. She was the only Dutch child in the English section of the school. So you've got people like that who are so firmly rooted in Nigerian culture that they cannot be anything else. They are Nigerian at heart. So I'm Nigerian at heart, and I'm pretty certain there are a lot of Nigerians at heart out there. And of course, not only am I Nigerian at heart, I'm Nigerian by DNA. Okay, let's talk briefly about Zuriel Oduole. Now, Zuriel is now 14 years old, but she started out her career in media when she was way younger. So far, she's interviewed about 15 presidents of African countries and is the youngest person to ever be profiled by Forbes. Now, she started her journey by doing a documentary which she produced and self-edited. Okay, so if you've ever done any editing work, audio or video, you'll understand that process. It takes a lot, and then you need to learn the process. So Zuriel did this all on her own, got her documentary, started speaking with presidents of Ghana, and it's been amazing for her because she's opened up a lot of opportunities, she's met more presidents, she's brushing up on her skills. I can see that the sky can't even be Zuriel's limit, more like it's her starting point. Yes, indeed. Now let's talk about Elechi Amadi. I listed Elechi Amadi earlier as one of those great Africans in the literary world. Elechi Amadi was born in 1934, in Alu in River State, which is my state, and unfortunately he passed on just a few months ago, 29th of June this year. It was sad because I had met Elechi Amadi. He was very nice to me. He invited me to his home, and I got my mom to drive me, and we had a beautiful chat. He gave me an autographed copy of his book Sunset in Biafra. Now, what I love about Elechi Amadi is his poise. Now, Elechi Amadi was a captain in the Nigerian army, which, when the Biafra War started in 1967, didn't go too well for him, and he was arrested and detained. He survived by the grace of God, really. He went on to become a commissioner, a government official, a teacher, and then he went on to become a professor in the River State College of Education, now Ignatius University of Education. Elechi Amadi wrote a book called The Concubine. Now, that book is one of, I would say, my best book ever in the world. I read that book first when I was a little girl, and every other year, I always have to get a new copy of that book. It's such a beautiful book. It shows Africa untainted. It shows an Africa where there were no invasions from the West. It shows Africans living in Africa the way Africa was. So if you'd like to get, I absolutely love Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, but that does talk about colonization. So if you want to read an African book that has absolutely nothing about that, pure Africa in Africa, you definitely should get your hands on Captain Elechi Amadi's The Concubine. It's such a beautiful book, and don't forget, you might need a hanky nearby if you're anything like me, because it is such an emotional book, I promise you. I have written about my experience with Elechi Amadi. So if you go on my website, you can actually read up on, the conversations we had and how that day meeting him went. The weird thing was I was tweeting about how much I loved him, how much I admired him, how much I learned from him the day I met him. And then 10 days later, the news came on that he had passed on. It was just so shocking. But rest in peace to Captain Elechi Amadi. And like I always say, legends never die, because their works will always stand the test of time. And Elechi Amadi is definitely one of those legends that we would never, ever forget. Now, in recent day Nigeria, there have been a lot of people who are going into entrepreneurship, trying to, show the talents, trying to fix
while Nigeria did not have the best outing at the Olympics this year, you can listen to the podcast about that on the website or on iTunes.
I know search for how sometimes it can be like a pain in the neck.
Well,
but a lot
I spoke
of
about that,
here in
but the
Nigeria
Paralympics had not started at that
with
point,
what it is,
and traditionally the Paralympics comes after the Olympics. So Nigeria managed to sneak in one bronze medal thanks to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and the Paralympics did seem to have a bit more promise. For starters, it seemed like it was more organized, and the athletes gave their all and did amazingly well. Now, Nigeria ended that tournament with 8 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 2 bronze medals, a total of 12 medals. Now, Nigeria has had some of its issues regarding sports in the last few years. But it was really nice to see that the Paralympians actually went out, did their thing, and brought a lot of, success and glory to Nigeria through their hard work and determination. I feel like the Paralympians have everything going on, like maybe even more difficult than the Olympians. Of course, there are the physical challenges and the limitations, but with that, they still pushed through and actually were the highest scoring African country on the medal tables for the Paralympics. So it was very, very good to see that our people were going out there and doing amazing, amazing things. So congratulations to everyone who represented Nigeria at the Paralympics. And I have to say, you did an amazing, amazing job. And all Nigerians and people from all over the world, all true sports lovers, are definitely proud of your achievements. Yes, indeed. Okay, last week, King Sunny Ade, who is a very popular singer here in Nigeria, turned 70 years old. Now, the thing is, I've been hearing about Sunny Ade for like my whole life, so I figured he was actually way older than that. Well, it just goes to show how much work he's put in over the years that all generations seem to know who Sunny Ade is. And then many years ago, he sort of had a collaboration with another Nigerian singer, Onyeka Onwenu, and it was a song trying to encourage people to abstain from sex regarding, the spread of HIV and STDs. It was such a beautiful song. If you go on YouTube, I'm pretty certain you can find it. If you love me, you go wait for me. Yes, I remember that line. It was such a beautiful song. So happy birthday to you, King Sunny Ade. Many, many more happy years. And of course, thank you for the great, great music. Speaking about Sunny Ade, gets me emotional because it reminds me of Sonny Okosin. I absolutely loved Sonny Okosin as a child, even as an adult. And when he passed on, it was quite sad because Sonny Okosin had this fire, this energy, and passion that he brought to his performances, and I really, really connected with him. In the 90s, he had a videotape called Wind of Change, and I remember my mom bringing it home, and it was something would watch over and over and over again. Sonny Okosin, Wind of Change. Like I said, legends never die because their works, their achievements will always, always stand the test of time and live long after they've left the earth. Now, when you talk about Nigeria, some people get the wrong idea that Nigeria is not a tourist country. Now, how exactly would you describe a tourist country? A place where people want to travel to and just take a short while to relax? I think you can do that in Nigeria, like anywhere else, really, to be honest. Nigeria has a lot of tourist destinations which the government might try to plug, but I think in addition to those, there are a lot of places that people would want to go to and things people would want to do. Like if you're an art lover like myself, you might be interested in a museum. Now, I love to travel, so every time I go to a new city, I always try to find a museum because that's something I've always done. So I remember years ago, I went to Benin. This was in 2006, was it? Yes, or 2007. I went to Benin, and a friend and I went to the Benin's museum. Now, I was really excited. I had my camera, we're taking pictures outside, but at the door, they told us we couldn't take any pictures in the museum. Now, that got me a bit sad, so I have no pictures from inside the museum, but it was just beautiful to see. It was a 3-story building, and it was really good. Now, I did get a bit creeped out when we went to the topmost floor because there was this sort of figure. It was in a glass cage, of course, but it looked like a masquerade, and not a masquerade with a mask, but it just looked so tall and unnaturally high, and I was like, whoa. And then my friend decides to scare me by saying, what if it comes to life? And that just scared me. And I think maybe I was channeling Night at the Museum, but in a horror way. So I quickly took off that floor. Like, I didn't want to take any chances. Of course, it wasn't going to come to life, but it was such a beautiful time to be at the Benin Zoo. There were masks. There was so much to see. I only feel bad that we couldn't take pictures in there, but it was really fun. And at the gift store just in front of the museum, we went there and we bought some things. I mean, my friend's from Benin, so she wasn't too crazy about it, but I was. I got a mask which is still in my house. I got some artifacts. So it was really, really good. So if art is something you're interested in, I would suggest when you go to any new city, it doesn't matter what city is in the world, it's always a good idea to just take a look at the museums, because you can learn so much. Just a few weeks ago, I was in Gothenburg, or Göteborg, as the Swedes would say, and I went to one of the museums. Actually, I went to a lot of museums, but in one particular museum, it was just so beautiful, because it was basically like walking through time of how the city had evolved. It was absolutely beautiful. So, that was my experience at the Benin Museum. I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it because it was so educational and it was very relaxing. So there are a lot of tourist destinations in Nigeria. You can talk about Yankari Game Reserve, you can talk about Idanre Hills, or there's so many. And then you've got festivals like Unuyam festivals or the Argungu Fishing Festival. So much to do in Nigeria, but not to worry, I've got you covered. This show is going to run for a while, so it's launching today, of course, the 1st of October 2016, Nigerian Independence. It's a Saturday, but subsequently the show will continue every Sunday from 7 p.m. It will be uploaded on the website. This is just an introduction. There's a lot more to come. We'll have some brief guest interviews and a lot more of the information going on within Nigeria. We're trying to rebrand Nigeria. Okay, I'm going to change the impression that the world has about Nigeria. You will know the real Nigeria. The Nigeria that's made up of you and I. So that is the Nigeria we are presenting to the world. Thank you so much for being here. I'm back next Sunday with more on Nigeria Untold. Please subscribe and don't forget to like and comment. Let me know what you think. Take care and have a lovely, lovely day. Mwah.
Thanks for listening to Nigeria Untold with Zibby. Download and listen to new episodes every Sunday via iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube. For all links and contact information, please visit the website www.thezibbyshow.com.